Resuming statements, the Honourable Member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. This is quite an occasion for me personally and for my family, and what a rare privilege this is to stand up at any point. Stand in the House of Commons, a place that I consider sacred in our democracy, and a privilege as well to be able to talk about life and politics. This is called the farewell speech, and I looked around, and I quite like this quote from Steinbeck, who said, "Farewell has a sweet sound of reluctance. Goodbye is short and final, a word with teeth sharp to bite through the string that ties past to the future." I like the idea of farewell. The last number of weeks and months has been quite a strange experience for me. It's been a bit like being at my own funeral, actually, as people come up and talk to me about how they feel about me, good and bad, and I get to hear comments that I think sometimes we don't share with each other nearly often enough. I had some reluctance to giving this speech. I didn't want to do it at all, and my wife Diana said, "Don't be stupid," which is often the advice she has for me, because how do you in a 10-minute speech sum up 15 years in politics? How do you properly in 10 minutes sum up all of the proper thank yous that I have for the many volunteers, the staff, the people that support us and make what we do possible? And how in 10 minutes can you properly express the gratitude I feel for the privilege, for the opportunity it's been to be a member of Parliament? I can recall my first speech, which to no surprise of my parents, Marguerite and John, I was late to. I was rushing to the House, and I was a new MP, and they told me, your staff write your speech and then you read it, and so I bolted into the House, and as soon as my backside touched the seat, the Speaker said, "The member from Skeena-Bulkley Valley." So I popped up and I started to read the text that had been prepared over many diligent hours by my staff, Jerry, and within the first paragraph I was bored out of my mind. And I thought, well, if I'm bored, it's very unlikely anybody else is interested in what I'm saying, so I turned the page over and I just spoke as best as I could. And it was a bit intimidating because in the front row at the time was Ed Broadbent, who had come back to politics, and he turned around in his seat to watch. and I thought, well, if I can get through this trial by fire with the eyes, the steely eyes of Ed Broadbent looking at me, then I'll do okay. I know I've been here quite a while now, Speaker, and I knew this as I was walking through the city just last year and had seen projects that had been started, construction projects, started and completed in my tenure as a member of Parliament. Government projects. I know, it was shocking, and I don't want anyone to look back, but it's been so long. I had actually a full head of hair when I got here in politics. I'll ask no one to Google that. I thought of how to try to put this all together in my mind, and a favorite quote of mine is from the great writer Thomas King, who said, the truth about stories is that's all we are. I firmly believe this. I think we are all stories. We all have our past, we all have our memories, our family, our connection to this place. And my story of getting into politics was a most improbable one. A working class kid growing up to a single mom in Toronto, cashier at Dominion Foods, no political inclinations in our family whatsoever, and ending up in the northwest of British Columbia through a very strange series of fortunate events, and being asked by a good friend, Bill Goodacre, to consider running. And I think many of us have had this story. A friend comes and says, "You should run." And I said the appropriate thing to Bill, and I said, "You're crazy. That's a terrible idea." And he was quite skilled at convincing me that this might have been a good idea. I believe politics at its best is a vocation. It should be a calling. It's not a job. It's not something you show up to. It's something you're called to do, and to serve that calling as best as you can. My goals in coming to Parliament 15 years ago were quite modest. I wanted to leave with my health, I wanted to leave with my family, and I wanted to leave with what integrity I came with intact. Now, those might seem like modest goals, but they're actually not that modest, as I learned. Because this can be a brutal place. This can be hard on families. It can be hard on relationships. It can be hard on us as individuals. And we don't often talk about the strains that we have being away, the mental health struggles many of us have and don't talk about, maybe increasingly so now. And to represent a place like Skeena Bulkley Valley, for those of you who have not been, you ought to go. It's this magnificent part of the world. It's vast, it is beautiful, it is breathtaking, it is the very best of our country. And even better still are the people who live there. We have an expression up north. We say, the people don't make the land makes the people. We are informed by that place. And I'm proud of the work that we've done. In this strange life, I've had these opportunities to meet great, powerful men and women, presidents and kings and queens, and they're all impressive in their own way, I guess, but the most impressive people to me have been the leadership that I've been fortunate enough to encounter in the northwest of British Columbia. Local mayors, local community activists, Indigenous leaders who have let me into their hearts and their worlds to express what their vocation is. A number of years ago, I was attending a Niska celebration called Hobiye. It's a beautiful, ancient celebration. It's the coming back of the salmon and the ulikan to the northwest. And there's a ceremony. It goes on all night, and the chiefs at one point come into the hall. You have to imagine a community hall in northwestern BC on a beautiful night, and the chiefs are all milling about outside in their beautiful regalia, amazing, amazing masks. And one of the chiefs walked over to me and said, walk with us in. And I said, whoa, that's not my place. This is your hall, this is your place, I'm just an observer. And he said, we've talked about it, you're walking with us. And as you come into the hall for Hobiye, the first 3 rows on either side are the women singing. And they sing into the middle where the chiefs walk. And outside of them are the drummers. And the Niska have a tradition of turning a bentwood box drum on its corner, and the big Niska dudes pound away, and it's a heartbeat rhythm. And so I walk in with the chiefs, and it's a very slow procession. And they sing into their leadership. They call their leadership forward and hold them up to represent them. And I thought, what do we need to learn from that as parliamentarians, as people who purport to lead, to speak on behalf of others? I have been so blessed. We are family. There are many families that inform our politics. My political family is here. My riding in Skeena, executive and volunteers, far too many to name. Jennifer Davies and Rob Goffinet and Lennon Irene and Pat Moss, we all have these dedicated Canadians that care and inform us. My political family was also Jack, who I miss to this day. We also have our parliamentary family, and that's not often spoken of. That we as colleagues struggle with one another, we disagree, but we also meet in this sacred place. And sometimes, not often enough maybe, we find common ground as we seek to make this country a better place. And then I have my actual family that are here. Diana, my beautiful boys, Isaac and Elliot, who we've got some plans, we've got some time together, which I so look forward to. We join together in the Northwest to defend what we believe we must defend. And we try to reach out across traditional political lines, traditional lines of interest and groups of interest, to try to support one another and defend what is sacred to us. And that's the land, that's the rivers that feed us, that's the very world that enriches us. And for 15 years, the folks in the Northwest have decided to put me forward as their voice. No more a humbling experience have I ever had. I believe we are actors passing across the stage, Mr. Speaker. We all have our moment here, and we can lose perspective that we pass across this stage, but yet others will pass behind us. May we, in all of our efforts, seek to not only leave Parliament a better place, leave this country a better place. And for sure, Mr. Speaker, I have been left better by this experience. Thank you.